Hey everybody, welcome back to Matthew Kelly Pottery on YouTube. Appreciate you guys being here. Today I'm actually going to do an update on a video that I made about 3 years ago on how to make a dinner plate. And that video and those plates, there's nothing wrong with that video or those plates I made in that video. But I got a little bit of a change as far as to make that same style of plate in a little bit different way. In a way that fixes an issue that was with that plate that I considered a kind of a problem or an issue with making plates that way. One of the main issues with that plate is as it would dry, the sides of that plate would stand up a whole lot in the drying process. And the main reason for that was because if you watch that old video, or if you've seen it, it's a pretty popular video on my channel. But I would make a straight wall and then lay that wall over, which, like I said, is still a great way to make a plate. And as long as you don't mind the sides of the plate standing up quite a bit. But I got a little bit of a change to that I've learned. And I'm going to show you guys that today and make an updated how to make a dinner plate video. So let's get started. Alright guys, so here we are. I'm at my stand-up wheel where I do most of my production work. I do it standing up. I just found that a little better for myself. If I'm going to make a lot of pieces the same, just depends on what it is. But for the most part, I make a lot of my production at a stand-up wheel. But I've got 3 pounds of clay here to make this dinner plate. I think just like the last video, it's going to be 3 pounds. And I've actually got the same clay that I used in that video. I'm going to be using for this dinner plate. And I've got a 12-inch plastic bat. These plates are actually going to be 12.5 inches across wet. And then they'll shrink from there, of course. But we'll get started, and I'll try to explain some things as we go. So one of the first tips I'd say is when I'm making a flat piece, like a platter or a plate, I use the heel of my hand to open up the clay ball and then to flatten it out. I believe that really helps with making a big, I mainly started doing it because that's the flattest, biggest part of my hand. But it also helps compress that clay together as you're flattening it all out. So you'll probably already see, if you watch the other video, the biggest difference already is that I've taken all the clay and flattened it out into one big pancake that reaches all the way to the edge of that 12-inch bat. You can see here I've actually got a gauge already set to my 12.5 inch width and the height that I need. And so once I've got that pancake made and I've got it smooth, I'm not necessarily compressing right now, but I'm just trying to make sure it's a smooth bottom all the way across. I'm going to take the same tool, just a rib, and I'm going to push up under that outside lip, but I'm not going to raise it straight up this time. I'm going to kind of make it at an angle. So I'm pushing the point of that up underneath. Going to go up under a little bit, make sure I clean the rib off, add a little bit more water, and then push back up under there. And it's all based on how much of a rim you want on your plate, how far you push up under. But I pushed up under, and then I actually pulled to kind of thin that clay out a little bit and stretch that out toward my gauge. Need to go just a little bit more. Alright, now from here, I'm actually going to take my sponge and go ahead and clean off the bat underneath the rim and then dry off the top side as well. I'm going to wet my sponge and just wet the underside of that rim so I can hold my hand under there and have it not stick. And then I'm going to lay that down, kind of push up with my finger underneath to make a little bit of a lip. And then just get that laid down just so that it's right at my gauge. Dry that off. And we've got a 12.5 inch plate there. And so, like I said, the main difference between this and the other one, it probably looks exactly the same. But this one has a little bit more of an undercut bottom, which actually helps the plates stack a little bit closer together. And also, as this one dries, it won't raise up as much because the clay has a memory, and so this one wasn't stood up perfectly perpendicular and then laid over. It was actually pretty much flat, and I just went up under it and kind of pulled it out and then laid it down just a little bit from where it was. And so these will still raise up a little bit, but not nearly like the other ones that I made in the previous video. So we'll take this off, put it on the card over here, and we'll make some more. Here's another tip I have for you. Once you're anything you're making that's flat, when you go to flatten out the clay ball with your heel or not with the heel of your hand, however you're going to do it, once I go out a little bit, you'll probably see that I take my fingers and I scrape the edge right there. I actually clean off around here because as I'm flattening the clay, I'm pushing it out, and some of the water on the bat, if I don't do that, will build up underneath the edge of the clay as it goes out. And you'll see as I go out again, I'll stop again and I'll do it. What I'm doing is just drying off and cleaning up that edge right there that will be under the flat part of the plate eventually. And if I don't do that, I've found that you'll either trap water or air underneath the edge of the piece as you're pulling it out. Probably depends on how fast you flatten that out, but that makes a big difference on that. I've actually seen people and have the issue with trapping air or water underneath the edge of a flat piece like that as they pull it out, and you don't really notice it until it's coming off the bat or being cut off the bat, and then it'll have like an air gap under there, or it might even crack the piece. Just depends on how severe that is. Alright, I'm going to try to show you guys a little bit closer up or in slower motion what I'm doing with the lip of the plate here. Taking the point of this tool right here, and I'm going to stick it in right here, right underneath the edge of the clay. I'm going to go in probably about an inch or so. Come out and just kind of clean that off. Add a little bit more water, especially to the top. And I'm going to go in probably another inch or so, and then I'm kind of actually squeezing between the rib and my fingers and kind of pulling back out to thin some of that clay out and stretch it out toward my gauge. And that kind of gives me some of the width there, because you could probably tell the clay was a little bit thicker there on the outside edge than anywhere else, and so I was kind of thinning that out, pulling it a little bit between my rib and my hand. That gives me some of the extra width and also thins that out there. Alright, here we go again. Like I said, I'm going to push that rib up underneath the edge. I'm going to do it again, go a little bit farther. Like I said, then I'm going to squeeze together between the rib and my hand and kind of pull that up and out just a little bit, just to give me the width on it. I'm going to clean that off underneath there and dry off the inside. And now I'm going to do is, like I said, add water to the other side, and then as I push up under, I'm really using my middle finger there and kind of push up and then push down against this to kind of lay the lip out, but also to make that little hip that's in there that is going to be the difference. I guess I'm actually using my index finger more than my middle finger, but just to make that little hip right there to make the difference between the bottom of the plate and then the rim. That'll take some practice, definitely, but as you get it, it'll be just do it as often as you can. Do a bunch of them at one time, and you should be able to get that down. And as you can see down under there, I've got more of kind of sloped edge underneath the plate. That helps them stack easier, and it just kind of really works well so that they don't raise up so much. Well, that about wraps up this video. I hope this helps, and I hope you guys learned some things from this. And I've got about 11 more clay balls here to make plates out of. And then I got some other things to make, some salad plates and all that. But anyway, like I said, I hope this helps, and I appreciate you guys being here and supporting the channel. And if you have any questions or comments or suggestions for videos for the future, definitely leave them in the comments below. And we'll see you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.